Have you tried that heads-up drill before?
Oh, yeah. I will frequently do my practice putts or my strokes looking at the hole, not at the ball.
Right. So once you do, you look at the hole, you get that, then you come back down and try to close your eyes. You don't think about rolling the ball. You just see the target. You figure out what arm swing you need, what touch you have in your hands right there, in your hands and your fingers, which is normally very light when you watch someone toss the ball. And once you do that, you get a feel for it. Then you test that feel by closing your eyes. Now you're totally in tune with the touch and feel. Once you can do that a couple of times, now you get a judgment of a certain stroke that you need to get it to a certain distance depending on the conditions of the green.
Golf Smarter, number 756. Don't kid yourself. It's not how good you hit the ball, it's how good you miss it with Randy Chang.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome back to the Golf Smarter podcast, Randy.
Well, it's great to be back, Fred, and finally very nice to be able to see you. Even though everybody can only hear us, this is a neat deal.
Okay, very cool. Good. So last time you were on, you were back in actually July of 2019, episode 698. We talked about your method of teaching being an islander, being from Hawaii, and teaching surf as your golf method, which I absolutely loved. And remember, because S is simplicity and safety, U understanding R retention, and F fun. Yes. Right? Yeah. So let's recap that one. I love golfing with surf.
So that continues to be very, very popular here. All the coaches that I have that teach for us at our schools, all the kids or adults that come for our lessons, that's the first thing we say. We're going to teach you how to surf. And they, wait a minute, I thought this was a golf lesson. I said, well, it is. And, coming, obviously working here in San Clemente as well, surf is a big thing. But it matches exactly what we believe in as far as teaching and coaching, people how to play golf. And it's got to remain simple because it's gotten very technical and confusing at times. So you got to make sure they can understand it. They leave understanding what you're saying. And it also holds true for the coaches as well. Again, we have to keep it simple and safe. We added that in because of all the injuries that we've seen over the years. How we go about it, what we've been able to teach our kids, and a long time ago, where it's actually detrimental to the body. And make sure that you understand your student. So, understanding is very important for the coach. Retention, the student has to be able to retain the information you give them. And also the coach needs to work on retaining that student for life. And that's kind of what we'll also talk about today, that I want to talk about, that is retaining these students, as there's so many people in today's market, in today's situation. There's a lot of people coming in to play golf. So we're getting the people that come in. Retaining them has been the problem. There's many people that are coming in. We have that many leaving. So we've been kind of on this level of new golfers coming in, but a lot of golfers deciding they don't want to play anymore. So retention is a big deal for us today. And then lastly, most important, if it's not fun, you're not going to do it. If it's not fun for the students, or if it's not fun for the coach, the relationship just isn't going to be there. So yeah, so it's become a really cool and fun thing for us to abide by and for us to go with.
Yeah. Interesting. You talk about how instruction has become so technical and confusing, and yet the equipment, they keep pushing the fact that, it's so forgiving and makes the game so much easier. And so we're compensating on the other side to continue to make it more difficult. Why
Yeah,
is that happening?
it's everybody does want that quick fix, and that's the
Right.
quickest way that people would rather do it rather than maybe take a lesson. So that's a big stigma that we're working really hard at to the general public on. We talked about this last podcast, why people aren't getting into the game or why are people leaving, and it's because it's too hard to learn, and we say no, it's not. So we continue to work on that, and again, the equipment, as once you get understand the swing and hit a golf ball, then the new equipment today really does help. It's crazy how much it does help. But if you're just looking for buying this new technology to maybe help a little more forgiving, at the end you're still going to hit it right.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, and then just by watching a recent PGA Championship, it was the last major that we had since we were recording this. It was a great reminder to me that even the best in the world screw up. Even the best in the world can struggle. Even the best in the world will miss short putts. And it really calmed me down in my next round. It was incredible. Yeah,
as the general public really almost likes to see those professionals mess up. It doesn't make them feel better. It's kind of weird how my students go, boy, I'm glad to see, Koepka just not win one, or he is human, that kind of thing. I mean, which makes
those guys 3-putting from 10 feet. I just love. Love. Oh, it's not me. Okay.
Yeah. And that's what makes the game so great. And I think we're in a good space right now with all the training that we're starting to get, and how we're how we're going about teaching the game. And the people that we're watching on TV, you see their vulnerability, they're vulnerable to anything like we are, but the lesson is what happens after and how they come back. Just like, as you stated, how Colin Morikawa, missed that short little putt and comes back, learns from it and comes back and goes ahead and wins a PGA. So, those are the different things that we're focusing more on, is more that mental side now, when we're developing these young players. They're ready for that. They understand, that they're going to fail, and they're trained at an earlier age to say, okay, we're moving on, and that's how you're going to be measured. So I think we've done a great job of that part of it. And that's why these young kids have so much success right from an early age, because that's how we've been training them. The Rick Sessinghouse, him and I have known each other for a long time, who's worked with Colin. Right? Yeah. And we back in, years ago, of how we said, what are we going to be doing here? And how are we going to be teaching these guys? And he really focused on that mental side. And now you see the results of that. So it's good.
Apparently Sessinghouse, it's pronounced Sessinghouse?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's been with Colin Morikawa since he was a little kid, right?
Right. Well, it's about 8 years old. Yeah.
Right. And talking about the mental game with him, right? Have you known
mostly what they did
that long? Yeah. And have you known Sessinghouse that long? Did he ever talk to you about this young kid coming up that he had?
We all in our stables have a Colin Morikawa that we feel. We don't. You never know. That's the whole thing. Sure. You never know. I mean, the guys that I thought I had, these are shoo-ins, including my son. I thought, oh my goodness, he was. You're measuring everything against what Tiger's done. That was the standards. If you go on that road, of which we found out that's not a really good road to follow. His model from how he was brought up. He's definitely not normal, and what we've learned over these last 25, 30 years of me being in the business, like Rick as well, is how mental it is, and how much more you have to teach life and life skills. And that's what this PGA Coach that we're getting into now, for the studies that have come about, is really showing that now.
Interesting, interesting. Do you see yourself as a very technical golfer and a technical coach?
I have been
You big on the
thought
details?
about that way. Yeah, there is definitely the technical side of it, but my technical aspect of it is really simple. So there's the different mindsets that you have to teach them, and it gets back to this mental part again of understanding yourself and the mental side of the game. And there's you got to be comfortable with your mechanics and understand your mechanics for you to be confident that you can know when you fail or you don't succeed or you get into that little funk that you know how to get yourself back. And that's mainly what we work on a lot is when you're not doing good. Anybody can do it when it's comfortable and you're in a comfortable environment. But these kids are learning how to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. And we're teaching them at a young age, many examples of that where we just had like our kids, the parents, we're a very family oriented school. So we want the parents involved. And one of the parents came back from watching their son play and goes, our son doesn't want us to follow him and watch because it makes him uncomfortable. And I go, okay, I want you to go right back out there then. And I want him to be uncomfortable. He has got to learn, they got to learn how to play when they're in uncomfortable situations. And these parents go, oh, no, he doesn't want me there because I make him uncomfortable. So again, we've been teaching this kind of thing. And that's why the kids today growing up are so much better in handling these pressure situations because we don't allow them to just play when they're comfortable.
Wow. That's pretty remarkable. All right, listen, we're going to take a time out right here. We're with Randy Chang, PGA of Pechanga, Journey at Pechanga, and we'll talk more about everything that's going on in the golf industry as far as instruction and PGA right after this. Lately, I've been starting to feel the aches and pains of aging, so I've reinstituted yoga into my exercise regimen, and I'm already getting a positive payback in my game. Well, this week on Golf Smarter Mulligans, we talked to Mindi Boyson, a TPI certified instructor who had just returned from the World Golf Fitness Summit. And we talk about golf exercises, maintaining fitness, and nutrition and hydration specifically for golf. Since I've been doing this sip and nibble routine, which is I just have a 3-ounce bag of nuts that gets me through an entire round and 1 or 2 bottles of water and just a little bit after every other shot or every shot, I'm just so much more consistent and the wheels don't fall off the wagon.
Well, it's because you're eating consistently and you're drinking consistently. What I like to do is I like to eat before I go to the golf course. Now, I'm teeing off at 7 a.m. or heck, even 6:30 this summer. That's a little early for me to eat. But by hole 2, I'm eating a bar because I'm hungry. Because I just haven't started my day yet as far as digestion. But I would say not to go more than 3 holes without putting something in your mouth. Now, it doesn't mean each time you eat a whole bar, but even just a bite, and then you go on to your next shot. Same thing with water. If you tee off, you take a swig of water. Middle of the fairway, take a swig of water. On the green, take a swig of water. Go to the next hole.
That's episode 72, featuring TPI certified instructor and coach in an episode we call Fit for Golf, Fit for Life. Being released this Friday. Both Golf Smarter and Golf Smarter Mulligans are free and available wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Please subscribe and hear brand new episodes of both Golf Smarter and Golf Smarter Mulligans each week. Randy, interestingly, a couple of minutes ago, you were talking about how more golfers are coming into the game, except more golfers are leaving the game.
Yeah.
And there's this balance that's going on. And it's interesting because during COVID, during this pandemic, it seems like there's a lot of people who are taking advantage of the fact that, hey, we have to do family stuff together, or, hey, I have to be home all the time, but I want to get outside. And so there's more and more people playing golf. And I'll tell you, I was playing around last week, and there was a threesome in front of us that clearly was new to the game, driving their golf carts up to the green, right? Having to make every 1 foot putt, not picking up the ball after their 8th or 9th shot. And it's like, I'm wondering if it's the new people that are driving the experienced people off the course. And that's why you were creating that balance.
Yes. No. Yeah. Well, no, you're absolutely right. And that's one of the reasons why people fall out of the game is because of pace of play. It takes too long, so, but we also have seen during this pandemic some really neat things, because overall, pace of play has gotten really good because of the single cart riders. A lot of the golfers out there are just playing golf. There's you don't have a lot of distractions out there anymore, like, the beverage carts on a lot of places aren't there. I know at my golf courses, they aren't. So people are just playing, and they're playing fast now, with the flag stick, staying in, not having to rake bunkers, those kind of things. But the pace of play has really improved, except like what you're saying now, there's a lot of very new players coming into the game. And that's something we've recognized as a school, is we have them on the course. Our swing philosophies or techniques are so simple. We can get them hitting a golf ball enough and understanding the putting and chipping in a matter of 4 lessons or a month's time. And so we try to get them on the golf course as soon as possible. But the first thing we do, though, is, we don't count score. We don't worry about distance. That you have to play this hole in a certain amount of time. And so pace of play gets ingrained in all of our new students right from the get-go. We've even done, the kind of the backwards way of teaching is we get them on the golf course first. I know that's hard for some facilities, but at the facilities that I'm at, it's possible during certain times of the day where we show them from putting and then work back at chipping and work some all the way back. So they start to understand how to play the game. And that's kind of a big push with us as teachers and coaches as well, is getting them to understand how to play the game fast, and we have control of all of that. So that's something as PGA coaches, we're definitely doing for the beginners part of it, and that's what we specialize in our schools is developing new golfers, get in the game. Learn how to enjoy themselves, have fun, play fast, and it doesn't take that long to do it with the way that we teach.
One of the earliest interviews I did, one of the teachers I was talking to said something that's just locked into my head forever, which is walk fast, swing slow.
Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah.
It's interesting because I've told this story before, but my son, when he was 12, my younger one, when he was 12, we sent him to a golf camp for the summer. And I wasn't playing golf at the time, but after his first day at camp, we were sitting around the dinner table and he says, "You want to know what I learned today?" I'm like, "Oh, of course I want to know what you learned at golf camp. What was it?" And he said, "Etiquette." I was like, "That's the first thing they're teaching was etiquette?" He said, "Yeah. Want me to show you?" I said, "Absolutely. Let's go." So he dragged me over it was not that far from our house. We went over to the putting green there and I got hooked. That was it. That was my introduction to start playing golf. I was in my 40s at the time. Yeah. And he ended up, losing interest because it was too slow for him at the time, but now he's playing as an adult.
Right.
But it was like the greatest lesson because for a kid like mine at the time, etiquette was not something that was coming across his vocabulary very often. That's why I got so excited.
Play fast and understand some of the basic etiquette, which is playing fast. Playing fast is kind of an etiquette.
Yeah, and focusing on the group in front of you, not behind you. But there's all these little nuances that you learn over time. But you got to play with people who are experienced. Don't keep finding newbies to go out there with. Just find somebody who's experienced that has patience, that is not competing with you, and they just will be encouraging and helpful to move you along. But being uncomfortable. Now that was an interesting one when you say the parents of young players would come up and say, the kid has asked me to walk away because I'm making them uncomfortable, which is great for the kid to be able to say, hey, I can't have you standing over my shoulder like that. But for you to send them back, Randy.
Yeah. Well, we have to educate the parents.
But what did the kid say to you after the round? Did he say, why did you send him back to me?
Then I had to sit him down and tell him the whole thing. It's like, anybody can, if you want to play this game, first of all, do you want to play this game, on a competitive level, first of all? And that's one of the main things. You gotta learn how to play when you're uncomfortable, and when you understand, when you get into that uncomfortable situation, no matter what it is, whether it's your parents watching, whether anything, you can make an excuse of, whatever, the lawn, the guy was mowing behind me, it's distracted, I'm uncomfortable, or I'm uncomfortable playing with this other person. I've always heard that all the time. I hate playing with that one player all the time. He's so slow, and I never play good with him. He always makes me uncomfortable. And those that say, well, then let's get into that situation and learn how to play when you get into that kind of a state. So most of what we do is, especially with the kids and the juniors, is we have to coach the parents, and that's more of the challenge than the kids are, actually.
Wow. I think you just came up with the name of the show. We have to coach the parents. I'm going to write that one down. I like that a lot.
It's funny you were saying that. As far as I learned that through watching the Dog Whisperer. He rehabilitates the dogs, but he has to train the owners, which is totally true.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense. So you're the Golf Whisperer. And we have the Yips Whisperer on the show too, who we also call the Yoda of Yips. But teaching the parents how to do that, teaching the kids, do you want to be competitive?
Right.
And being uncomfortable. We've had this conversation before where guys on the tour, they have to be able to eat anything and not get an upset stomach while they're, during an event. They have to be able to sleep in any environment, right? Because you're changing hotels all the time. So all these little things that come along with travel and the pressure of competition that you have to block out of your mind. How many times, forget about the competition part, how many times have you heard somebody say, oh, you know what? I was uncomfortable even before I pulled my club away from the ball. I should have stepped away from it.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, as far as we're teaching them at a young age. We realize this kind of things, because all the technology, all the mechanics, it doesn't matter how great your mechanics are. Those emotional states that you experience, like you talked about, just eating and sleeping, just the basic things. And that's why it's such a big deal right now with all this fitness and mental. I just got this, that Whoop, band.
Oh, you got one of those Whoop bands? Yeah, tell me about
where they're monitoring sleep, their diets, their exercise, all that kind of thing. That's a really big craze. I was for these, elite athletes that are trying to, get the edge or the consistency, if you will. That's what you are monitoring. We did this old school wise is, all right, when I played well, here's what I did the night before. I went to bed at this time. I ate this certain food. And that's how athletes have always responded. I went to the movies, and they try to do this routines,
I eat chicken before every time I play. Yeah, right.
Exactly. And so now the science has come about. We're actually monitoring exactly that kind of things. And again, it comes down to this PGA.coach. Are you familiar with the ADM model, which is the American Development Model, which came about, has been around for the last 25 years, starting with the USA hockey team and Olympic Committee. And they've done these studies on on athletes and how you groom them to retain them for athletes for life. And the PGA, so everyone is taking that model and put it into their individual sport. So that's what the PGA has done, which has come about with this PGA.coach. And in they just started promoting this at the PGA. We probably didn't see that, but they were talking about this PGA.coach certified, in your area. And that's something that we're kind of uniting us as an organization to say, since we can't as individual teachers and coaches agree on very much, something we can all talk about together. You get a bunch of teachers and you talk about the swing, and you're not going to get any really one answer, which is true because there's more than one way to teach and coach. But at least we are in something that we can all agree upon. It's like if you have a 3 to 6 year old, what are you going to really teach that person and or that child, and then all the different stages as they grow and mature, both physically and mentally. So, we're now agreeing upon that as you're building your juniors, depending on the stage of the life that they are in and age, we're basically trying to build athletes. And now we have this scientific study, everything based on science, that's saying this is a good road that we can retain golfers and retain them for life. It's kind of like your son. He started, he's going to fall off on it because of what he did that summer camp. He's back into it and he's off and running. And so, everybody that has come into our camps and schools have this basic simple little swing thing that they won't forget, that they retain, that after they come back and decide, I really want to do this again, they already have that ingrained in their heads and in their bodies. So the PGA.coach is something that we're getting a lot, or trying to get all the PGA teachers and coaches to get certified in.
We're going to take another time out. We'll be right back.
Did you see that during the PGA when they were?
Yeah, they had ads on it like crazy, right? The PGA.coach. And this is a program for children that the PGA is trying to develop, or is it an overall training?
It's just a guideline on, what we're going to be telling the kids, like at certain ages. Okay. And basically from 0 to 12, you're just telling them to be athletes, and you say it's not going to be golf, like how Tiger was. Right. It's like that was the model, right? That was the book. You go ahead at age 2.5, and you start guiding them through golf that whole time. And like I said, he's an anomaly, and it's amazing that he's still here. But obviously the fallback was the injuries, and that's what we've seen, because he's just been doing one thing his entire life.
He also had a mental and emotional break, I don't want to say
all
break
kinds of stuff,
but everything that got in the way of his game. Yeah.
So we learned everything from him, good and bad.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah. So it's interesting when somebody brings a child to you, say someone comes along with a 5-year-old and they're like, hey, I've been playing golf my life and I want my kid to get into it, but I want my kid to be a superstar.
Right.
And that's a challenge I'm sure you'd gladly accept. But how much of the time is spent training the parent how to back off?
Yeah.
Right?
Like I mentioned earlier, that is the challenge. But now we have this science to go with it, because everybody goes, well, here's how Tiger did it, and I want to follow that same route, and I now we show them, well, here's what you got burnout to deal with, you've got injuries to deal with, and it's just going to happen. It's not guesswork anymore, and now we have the PG.coach to show, look at what Brooks Koepka did and growing up. Look what Michael Jordan did, right? He didn't play basketball, so he wanted to be a baseball player. And in my own personal upbringing, I've guided my teaching just because of the way I grew up and because I got into golf late as well. But here I am, a golfer for life, doing it in a profession. I didn't start playing till I was 20.
Right. Wow.
I thought I was going to be a baseball player.
Oh, did you really?
That's what I did. My entire, since I was small, it's just baseball. And I got burnt out when I got into high school. I was like, and I was good, but just mentally, I was just burnt out. And then I played basketball was my other passion. And anyway, so that's kind of how I did. Then this PGA.coach thing, or the ADM model, I didn't know about, comes about. So hey, that's how I grew up, and that's why I'm still at 60, still playing the game, still healthy. And I think it's just from the athletic background from a young age.
Yeah, it's probably true. Well, yeah, I played all kinds of sports as a kid too. I was not a team sport kid, but I was out on the yard playing with my friends all the time. And I can honestly say that golf is the hardest sport that I ever played.
It certainly is.
And the ball's just sitting there.
I know.
It's not moving. I want to go back to some stuff from your website, which I really enjoyed. And that would be, but it's interesting because rcjuniorgolfschool.com, RC being Randy Chang, and it's rcjuniorgolfschool.com. You have what you call the Chang Chip. Now, it sounds cute. It's adorable, but I want to know more about it. I like this.
You're actually starting to see that much more. It's basically a putting stroke. Well, let's remember the chipper, right? If you were terrible at chipping, sure. you got a chipper, which was basically a putter with a lofted, with an 8-iron loft on the head, right? And you treat it just like a putter, and that's basically what the Chang Chip is. This was taught years ago. Phil Rogers. Where basically you take a 7-iron, and I've seen a lot more on TV now where they kind of prop it up more diagonally to the ground, more perpendicular, I would say, to the ground instead of having the angle. Yeah, you're more up like a putter. So
wait, are you talking about the club face?
The shaft, yeah.
Oh, shaft being okay.
Yeah, so the club head actually goes up on its toe, and the heel kind of lifts off the ground. Then you have to turn the club in just a little bit. So it's very weird looking when you're looking down at it, but it's a technique that's basically a chipper that you can use with every single club. And I learned this back when I first started, and you don't see too many, pros use it because they don't have to, because they spend hours and hours and hours and hours, practicing with their lofted clubs, and they can hit a rolling shot with a 60-degree wedge. So the school of thought has always been, like Phil Mickelson was take his 64-degree and hit 20 different golf shots with it, learning 20 different, techniques, or take one technique and use 4 or 5 different golf clubs, which is for a typical amateur is what you need to do because you don't have the time to practice all of that. But it's basically the chipper using a normal club. And I just named it the Chang Chip because, again, we talk about retention. People remember nothing. I mean, over the years, they may remember nothing from my lesson, but they remember the Chang Chip.
It's a good, Do you have barbecue chips as well, or no?
Well, it's chicken Chang, actually. That you talk about. There's a very famous people out there that are listening to this. They might have come across this chicken Chang.
Well, the point of the Chang Chip, it's very funny. The point of the Chang Chip would be the whole concept of wanting to get the ball to the ground as quickly as possible, but not putting from the fringe. I just don't understand why because that grass can be so thick, it's not gonna roll like it does on a green. So why don't you want to get it in the air just a little bit, just so you can get it onto the ground and let it roll? Am I correct in this?
Absolutely. And I'm yelling at the screen after watching these tournaments where I said, boy, that's a Chang Chip. And, you see even the pros, flub it out of there or just catch because it's in the rough, obviously, but it's just off the green. And that's why you see them taking their fairway woods to do that, and that's kind of the same concept, except with the fairway woods, it's so long.
Or a hybrid.
The hybrids, your 7 woods, 5 woods that they use to putt out of there, but it's such a long club. And it's just, harder to control the distances. And then just the stroke itself. When people see that ball just off the green with a little bit of grass, they feel like they have to hit at it, rather than all you do is make an easy putting stroke. And our whole concept at our school is it's not how good you hit the shot, it's how good you miss the shot. And what shot will give you the best chance to miss it good. And that the Chang Chip is just one of them. So that's why people, your typical amateurs especially, when they don't get to practice all the time, if they're a decent putter, we just extend putting to 5, 6, maybe even 10 feet off of the green, depending on how much green you have to work with. So, we talk about tactics in this PGA Coach thing, for people to play the game, to score better, without having to get so technical with it. I mean, we have to make it simple. And the Chang Chip, it doesn't get anything more simple than the Chang Chip.
Well, you're giving me too much information to deal with here because we just came up with a new name for the show. You just replaced the other one. It's not now how good, it's not how good you hit it. It's how good you miss it. Right. I like that one. And we're going to take another time out. We'll be right back. If the world isn't strange enough these days, another aspect that seems to be completely upside down is Major League Baseball. This week on another of our Smarter podcasts, Radio Baseball Cards, we go back to our interview in 1987 with Houston Astros' Mike Scott, who talks about the most memorable victory he ever had as a pitcher.
Here's another Radio Baseball Card. When the Houston Astros clinched the National League West title, it was on Mike Scott's no-hitter.
Well, I think last year when we clinched the division and the no-hitter was probably a moment that I'll remember more than any other.
That's the Radio Baseball Cards podcast. Short stories as told by the greatest baseball players of the 20th century with your host, the late Hall of Famer Don Drysdale. Radio Baseball Cards is free and available wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Another thing that I saw on your website that I would love to get more insight from you, you had two things that really jumped out at me. The L-to-L golf swing system, which we've talked about with other people on this. But I'm struggling these days. I need more up and downs. And the Chang Chip thing, I've heard it called different things, and I utilize it. I really do practice it too. But I'm very good on my second putt. My first putt, even if it's closer, I don't know what it is. But please help me with my putting. Let's talk about your putting technique.
Yeah, so putting, when we talk about mental, it's even, if it can be more mental in putting. And any athlete, if you have some kind of athlete, and here's where hand-eye coordination definitely does come into play. We always say we don't need hand-eye coordination. The last time we talked to hit a golf ball, because like we talked about, ball doesn't move, just make a swing. So you don't need hand-eye coordination to hit a golf ball, but your better your hand-eye coordination is, the better short game you're going to be able to have. And it's all, we start teaching this to our kids again at a very young age. What do? Well, we start developing some of that hand-eye coordination as far as touch and feel. And from tossing a ball, rolling a ball to a hole, when you go to the carnival and play those games where you got to toss the coins or anything that has that type of nature and exercise to, you can become a good putter. So that's the first thing I do is test that hand-eye coordination just by rolling a ball or tossing a ball. And if you can do that, which there hasn't been too many, unless you've never played a single sport in your life, you can learn how to gauge touch and feel, because that's all it's about. That first putt is about distance, and how to control that distance is the first thing. So we do, the drills to test that hand-eye coordination. And if you kind of pass that, then that mindset has to be there the same way. So one of the more popular, or the popular drill that we like to do is our heads up drill, kind of the Jordan Spieth thing, where you look up at the hole and you just use your hand-eye coordination, touch and feel to feel the distance to the hole. And it doesn't take very much practice. If you can do it by tossing a ball, then you just have to take that same mental state again, into the putting and chipping as well. Because that little arm swing that you do when you toss a ball, and if you don't, and a lot of times the way they toss a ball mimics how they chip and putt. If you have that short, backswing and just try to throw the ball this way rather than just let your arms swing, we have to teach that, but it doesn't take long. But then again, it's how you approach that training part of it, and everything we want. Obviously, it can't take long, So once we get them to the right state of mind of understanding, this touch and feel, the heads up drill is really good, or closing your eyes. Have you tried any of those drills? Have you tried that heads up drill before?
Oh yeah, I will frequently do my practice putts or my strokes looking at the hole, not at the ball.
Right. So once you do, you look at the hole, you get that, then you come back down and try to close your eyes. Now you're forced to get in touch with the feel that you don't think about rolling the ball. You just see the target.
Right.
You figure out what arm swing you need, what touch you have in your hands right there, in your hands and your fingers, which is normally very light when you watch someone toss the ball. And once you do that, you get a feel for it. Then you test that feel by closing your eyes. Now you're totally in tune with the touch and feel. And then once you can do that a couple of times, now you get a judgment of a certain stroke that you need to get it to a certain distance depending on the conditions of the green. So we do that. So it's just heads up drill. You've done that, and you mess around with the only techniques we talk about in putting is your head and knees have to stay still. You don't want to move your body. Constant grip pressure is something that is involved with the twitch muscles, and that's what the yips are, where those little muscles just fluctuate, and it's a reaction to being uncomfortable again. And then how you take the club back is what you want to follow through. That's the sense, and that's pretty much it. How you do it, there doesn't matter. Whichever techniques allows you to get the best feel, that's the only mechanics that we talk about. So from those techniques, now figure out the touch and feel for distance. So that's kind of my forte. I think all through my career, I've and I think it's because of all the sports that I've done. I was always a great putter, chipper, pitcher of the golf ball. My drives are all over the place, but I could get up and down from just about anywhere, and that's what's kind of kept me playing the game all this time. If I can learn how to hit it straight off the tee, I wouldn't be talking to you right now, I think.
Well, then we should definitely try to play together more, because I hit it straight. Well, sometimes I hit it straight. I probably don't even come close to how far you hit it. I just need to get up and down more. I'm really got to focus on getting up and down more. My scores, I would see a lot different scores, I think, if I had more success with that. But I want to get closer on my approach shots or my chip shots. I guess is what I really need to focus on, right?
Yeah, but it's interesting where now the big focus is on distance. That's the big thing that they're all talking about with the analytics, and so everyone's now going, oh, I want to hit it further. So that's where the fitness is starting to come in, and a lot of different things that from a mechanic standpoint, especially what Bryson DeChambeau is doing. I'm getting a lot of calls and goes, okay, well, now we need to work on distance. Even though what you just said right there, you don't have to hit it far as long as you can get up and down from everywhere. That's been my forte this whole time, and I can still play competitively. But now the next levels that we're talking about now, all the kids that say, hey, I want to play in college, I want to get even past that. Now this hitting it far is been the big thing right now.
Yeah, and I love to, I love the line of it's not about how far, it's about how close.
Yeah.
Right? But as somebody who's been teaching for a long time, hasn't it always been people come in and say, I need to get more distance. I need to get more. It's always about, I'll change the ball. I'll change the club, whatever it is. I need to get more distance.
Right.
You still want to know how far you hit each club, and you want to keep your dispersion as narrow as possible.
Right. I mean,
Right,
that's golf. That's
exactly.
That's absolutely golf. But what I do like about what's happening now in this, you can see this change kind of happening with the physical aspect. And again, with this PGA Coach is now what we're telling people is like, if you want to play this game at a higher level, you have to treat it as an athlete, and you have to work out as an athlete now. And that's what I'm enjoying now, because before, when I was playing, no, this wasn't an athletic sport. They would say, no, you're not an athlete. In fact, the only reason why you're playing golf is because you couldn't play the other sports.
Ouch.
And yeah, that's how it was, right? You played golf, and that's why, I didn't play golf in high schools, because I was playing the different sports. Now they're talking, now in high school, they're going, this isn't athletic. We're working out like you football players are. So I'm enjoying that part of it. Is like, you can play golf, but now you pick up the weights, you go running, you do all this you got to eat properly. Where back in my days, it was, you didn't pick up not one muscle. That was bad. And you went in and you went to the bar after, and you could have a hangover the next day and still play some great golf, as some of the old guys used to actually be able to do. Some of the stories that I used to hear of some of these, these older PGA professionals. But now it's an athletic sport, and that's what I'm enjoying about the change in that part of it.
Yeah. In talking to your colleague, Shea Satterfield over at Pechanga, one of the things that I was curious from his perspective, and I'd love to hear yours as well, is 10 years from now, who's still going to be out in the front of the leaderboard? Is it Colin or is it Bryson? Is Bryson going to be able to sustain this program that he's developed during COVID for 10 years? And is he going to inspire a lot of players, or is Colin going to be the one who inspires a lot of young players?
And that's what remains to be seen. And that's why I think golf is in a good place. We don't know. It's like this COVID thing, right? We don't know, but whatever he's doing, it's certainly caused a good buzz for our game. And if you talk about sustainability, yeah, I'd pick Colin because of the mechanics of his golf swing are so much easier on his body. When you look at Bryson's swing now, it's like a long drive contest swing. But he can turn it on and off, though. That's the whole thing. He doesn't swing like that. He doesn't swing like that all the time. And that's probably the difference, that he has another gear that he can actually go to where the others don't. But again, as long drive contests, participants, their longevity is not very long. It's because it takes too much toll on their body. So yes, that's going to be a great question, but the way he's going about it, again, from a scientific standpoint, understanding his body and the workouts that he does to sustain this for a long period of time, that's a lot of work. And that's why you hear a lot of the commentators going, well, once he gets a family, and once he starts balancing everything out, is he going to have the time to put, as he's doing right now, to sustain it, So because Colin Morikawa also, has a physical workout as well, because he wants to, he's not short by any means. He's shorter. He's still hitting at 300, but that extra 20 yards, gives a certain advantage to others. But by him keeping it playing, it's funny because in the Speed PGA, people were asking me who did I think was going to win, and I thought Colin. I was the only one that picked Colin in our group because really? I knew he could keep it in play. I knew how his strength was his driver and keeping it in play. And I saw how if you didn't over there, it was going to be tough. Even if you were close to the green, like these guys had sand wedges in their hands and they still couldn't, get it close. So he works with with Rick Sessinghaus, a place called UGP, which is a fitness place. And that's what they've been doing and taking this physical fitness aspect of it into the game of golf. So the mental, physical is all combining and working together.
Hey, you've been doing some TV down in Southern California lately, huh?
Yeah, I've been doing. It's been fun. We're on the CBS with Jim Hill's Sports Central. What's been great about it is it follows the tournament every
Wow.
weekend. Right after the tournament on CBS, they do the Jim Hill Sports Central, which goes over all the sports that's happening. And Pechanga has partnered up with CBS Sports and Sports Central in kind of analyzing what happened and reviewing what happened on that specific tournament every week. And then I was fortunate enough to do a tip, every week after that. So this has been going all the way till November in the Masters. So we've been
November of
doing a lot
2020.
filming. Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. That's great. So if you're in the Southern California area, you got to look them up on CBS television, local CBS TV. Randy Chang, again, the website, RC Junior Golf School, rcjuniorgolfschool.com. And also make sure that you check out Journey at Pechanga, pechanga.com, I'm pretty sure is what it is, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Randy, it was great to talk to you again, man. Thanks so much for your time and your insights, as always.
Thanks for having me again, Fred. Take care.
Whenever I schedule an interview with a guest, especially if they have a product or a service to promote, I always ask them the same thing. What's in it for our audience? I want to get my lesson. I want to get my insights, but I want to know what's in it for you. Why do I want you to listen? What can I do to keep you here? So I'm very excited to tell you that we've got some really incredible prizes coming up over the next few months. And this one that we're doing now is no exception. Our next prize giveaway is an all-access pass to the Consistent Golf Summit, courtesy of our last week's guest, Bo Watson. Now, the Consistent Golf Summit featured 18 world-class experts who revealed their secrets on how to build a consistent golf swing from scratch. The package, which is worth thousands of dollars if they were to sell it straight out, it includes unlimited access to 20 masterclass video sessions from the summit, 15 plus hours of audio that you can download to your phone and listen like podcasts as MP3 files. And you can also get transcripts to those 20 masterclass sessions so that you can go back and read it to absorb it even more. And there's much, much more that's in this package. Deadline to enter to win this incredibly generous offer from the Consistent Golf Summit is midnight Pacific time, 3 a.m. Eastern, Sunday, September 6th, this Sunday, 2020. To enter, go to golfsmarter.com, click on the Enter Now banner at the top of the homepage. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for products or guests, use @GolfSmarter on social media or just click on the Hey Fred button at golfsmarter.com.